In chat? Okay. If we can do that, and then someone can pop in and be Bryce Stewart's voice for questions. Could you ask them? Okay. Yeah. Okay. As long as you guys see the chat. Okay. Okay.
Welcome everyone to the study session, May 28th, 2025, 6 p.m. Council Chambers, 111 East Maple. Welcome, Mr. City Manager.
Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you. So we're actually going to start, very first thing is with your office and emergency preparedness and communications. So how would you like to frame this one up?
Well, sir, the beauty of delegation. I'll ask Deputy City Manager Lisa Reynolds to come give this presentation.
Well done. You got to love delegation. Very good. Absolutely.
This one's much shorter, I promise. All right. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Lisa Reynolds, Deputy City Manager and Municipal Services Director. I'm here tonight to talk about the City Manager's Office budget presentation with you. The City Manager's mission effectively is to oversee all of the operational departments in the city and to enforce all of the policies that Council wants to see enacted, as well as ensuring all of our local ordinances are followed, obviously through delegation and through the 12 departments throughout the city. This is our current organizational structure as it has been this current fiscal year. The FTE count for this year, so this looks like we're actually reducing. It's not actually a true reduction. What this number shows is a change in allocations. For instance, the previous deputy city manager, his salary was broken out differently than mine. I'm very heavily utilities and municipal services, obviously, so less of my salary comes out of the general fund. So you see that reflected in this head count. The assistant city manager, Charlie DeSell, is also similar. His salary is broken out differently than previously. So again, not a reduction in people, but a difference in allocations. The proposed budget totals 1.1 million and change roughly. The bulk of that obviously being salary and benefits, as is consistent with all of the departments citywide. Internal services, another key piece of that, and then just typical inline spending for the rest of professional services, equipment, operating expenses, and things like that. So operating expenses would include office supplies, travel, just basic professional services, and other items like that. Do you have any questions about the numbers?
Mr. Mayor, just for people who do not speak city budget every day, could you just touch on what internal services means?
Sure. So internal services are departments like human resources, technology services, finance that service the entire city. So rather than have them as a standalone department with a standalone budget that's all general fund with chargebacks, it's effectively an internal service fund that houses those three departments, and all of the departments contribute to funding those staff members. So again, finance, HR, tech services being primary. Another one there that would be show up in internal services, but it's actually a separate fund from, would be central garage. So again, we discussed briefly last night that municipal services houses the central garage for all departments except for power and light. So those charges would also be part of that internal service charge.
And so the internal services are prorated. If you use a lot of those services, you would pay more by department.
Correct.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Please proceed. Thank you.
Not used to having a non-revenue budget to discuss, so we'll just move on to packages. So we do have a budget packet this year for an expansion or an addition of $100,000 to continue supporting the wildly successful Independence Together program. That is $60,000 from general fund, again, non-department, and $40,000 from the sewer fund. And I've gotten questions about, well, why the sewer fund? That doesn't make a lot of sense. Historically, it has been actually sewer maintenance staff that has responded to, hey, there's a mattress in the street, hey, there's a whole bunch of trash here, and largely because that trash finds its way either into our storm system or into our sewer system. When it finds its way into our sewer system, we have major operational issues at our incoming pump stations that screen materials out of the water before Rock Creek. So if they're collecting bottles, plastics, fabrics, and things like that, it actually causes them to bind up and not function properly. So it is absolutely in the best interest of sewer maintenance and treatment to keep all of that trash out of our sewer system. And you would be amazed at what you will find in the sewer. And so those are only budget packet expansion, but we do have an operational change in the manager's office this year. Looking to create the new Department of Community and Emergency Services as part of this proposed budget this year. And what this does is allows us really for a first time to have a mechanism to address issues like homelessness more head on. So part of this would be emergency preparedness as it has always been, but the addition of a homeless outreach coordinator. And also the goal, though we need volunteers is kind of a sign for, there are other cities that have volunteer programs that facilitate hooking up people that have a need with people that have a skill that want to serve the community and facilitating getting work done. So not city staff, not city dollars, but facilitating that volunteer program to allow help for community members that need it by people that are wanting and willing to serve and have those necessary skills. So lots of exciting things can be done with this program, and again, very new. So I won't steal thunder of people that will address this later, but just wanted to note that as an operational change. And that is the city manager's office presentation. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah.
Please proceed.
So I'm looking at the city manager budget, and I'm not seeing the 100,000 you're talking about in there.
Go ahead.
Councilmember Affairs, so that is falling under non-departmental, which is technically separate from their like city manager specific budget.
Which is why I'm not seeing it. Okay.
Yes.
Makes sense.
And then the other is the 40 in sewer, and so yes, that's exactly why you're not seeing that there.
Okay. All right. And the other thing I think would just be a comment relative to the homeless position that you're talking about. And I just want to go on record saying I'm supportive of that position, but I really want to know what success looks like for that position. In other words, when we get down the road a year or so, how will we determine, yes, this has been a successful move, or no, it's not? Because I want to be able to look back and say, yes, this was a good position, we need to keep it and continue to fund it, or we need to pull the plug because it didn't accomplish anything. And so I'm just want to go on record as saying that. So.
And Councilmember Fears, if I may, I'll amplify what you're saying. Just as Councilmember McCandless would say, for the folks watching at home, this budget is really an adoption of the council's values and policy goals for the coming year. It's, of course, not an accounting document. That's your annual financial report, et cetera. So by including this in the budget, this would be the council, as you just said, being on record that addressing this community need is a priority. But my objective from my role is to work with the 7-member body to figure out what are the roles, responsibilities, and performance metrics associated with this position so that it does deliver upon your expectations.
Sure. And that's exactly what I'm saying, so.
Mr. Mayor,
Please proceed.
to continue the conversation further, I would say that we would probably need a 24-month cycle just to see what the success would look like, in my opinion. Just working with the outreach folks that we have here in our community and looking at the needs of the coordination that has to take place to be able to have those needs met. I think it'll take time to stand this up. I think the service that could be delivered would be very impactful, and it also gives us some strong talking points with our constituents, because that's one of the top questions, one of the top 3 questions that I am asked in community meetings and other conversations is, what are we doing? Well, we're doing a lot, but yet it doesn't seem like we're doing anything. So this is just one more step that we are using to help with that situation with our CIT officers, with our ARCH program. So this is just another way to help with that effort. So.
Yeah, and I don't disagree that it probably does take 24 months to evaluate it effectively. I don't disagree with that at all. I just want to know what we're going to be evaluating it on, and how are we going to say, yes, this was worth it, or no, it's not.
Sure.
Mr. Mayor, may I
Please
interrupt?
proceed. Absolutely.
I just got to note that folks are having a hard time seeing on City 7, and I will reassure them we are working on making sure the presentation is available. Okay, thank you.
And can they see the presenter, or they're just not seeing the presentation?
They can hear Lisa talking, but they can't see the presentation.
It looks
So,
like they're just seeing the city seal or symbol, logo.
okay, we're on it.
Okay, thank you. Perfect. Anything else? Any other questions? Okay, very, very good. Mr. City Manager, looks like emergency preparedness, and people not be able to see it on City 7 may in fact constitute emergency.
Yes, sir.
Or is that stretching the definition of emergency?
No, that was very good, sir. You threw me off.
I'm trying to make light of a situation,
you
and
did a
maybe
good
I
job.
did it poorly. So,
and no, you handled it well. I'm going to go ahead and ask Samantha Morris, who's our Chief of Emergency Operations, to come forward and give this presentation.
thank you. And I didn't mean to interrupt I stopped your stride, so please forgive
Oh,
me.
no, I was just telling you, no, that does not constitute an emergency for
Very good.
preparedness that
I
I
agree
will be
with you.
handling. You don't want me to be the one that handles that. Sam Morris, Chief of Emergency Operations. I oversee emergency preparedness and will present to you tonight their budget for fiscal year 25-26. The mission is to serve and protect the community by preparing for the unexpected. So we go home and we think about all of the things that could possibly happen in Independence based off of the infrastructure that we have here and the possibilities of a multitude of things, and we plan and prepare for that. And if it does happen, what do our actions look like, and what impacts do those have on our community? What impacts does that have on the staff and resources that we're going to need? I am going to point out that this photo that was used is the shelter that we actually opened when the fire at the apartment complex took place. So just to give you guys kind of an idea, this was our Medical Reserve Corps, MRC group, that came out knowing that we had several individuals that had medical conditions that needed to be addressed in the shelter. So just kind of giving you guys an idea. Strategic plan connection, emergency preparedness, touches in one way, shape, or form all 6. I won't go through all 6 of them. You guys can read these on your own, but we are certainly deeply integrated into each of these and hold each of these to high regard. So what have we accomplished this past year? Well, we've been awarded $250,000 in grants. Part of that is also for the reimbursement 50% of salary and benefits for 2.5 positions. So that 250 is encompassing that as well. We have applied for and are pending a $6.2 million COVID reimbursement grant that we are still waiting on. We've participated in several city, region, and statewide exercises. We've planned with them, we've planned alongside them, we've participated in them. We have fully implemented our remote activated and automated outdoor warning sirens, and next week you guys are going to hear a little bit more about that and what that entails, especially after the tragedies that have occurred on the east side of our state. And as well, we've completed over 3,000 hours of training, whether that be through exercises, classwork, whether we've conducted that training ourselves or attended it. So it's a lot of hours when you're talking about 2 full-time employees and our volunteers. Yes, sir.
I was actually going to ask about the situation that happened in the St. Louis side. So you say
Yes,
you're going to
sir.
address that in a week or two. So
Yes, sir. It was asked by Councilmember McCandless that I come forward and show you guys exactly what that weather polygraph looks like, how we came to create that polygraph that includes our citizens. Sirens, I'm going to give you an update on sirens. How many do we have? How many are active? How many are broken? I'm going to tell you exactly what our process is leading up to a storm, what our process looks like when we don't have any storms. And so I will kind of walk you through each of those. I'll do it as quick as I can, but I want to ensure that we're thorough and people have a understanding of what it takes and what our emergency preparedness group is doing almost daily to ensure that we are ready and prepared.
thank you.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. So our organization chart, we have currently just myself and the emergency manager. We have a vacant position as the assistant emergency manager and a part-time admin 2 that recently retired. So looking to be able to hire those positions as soon as possible to give us some relief and assist us. We are lucky enough to have a phenomenal volunteer base as well as that medical reserve corps that I was talking about. Occasionally, we do have some interns that work for us. We had one this past probably last 6 months or so. He was a Fort Osage student, and he went into our RAVE system, which is our emergency messaging system, and he updated a lot of those messages for us so that it was a little bit easier for us to be able to grab and go and be able to get those sent out to you when the National Weather Service starts issuing those watches and warnings. So our head count for the fiscal year 25-26 is including that additional position that we're going to talk about here in just a second, that homeless coordinator. Significant operational changes. So emergency preparedness will now be under the Community and Emergency Services Department. So that is a pretty big change for us. So here's our proposed budget. The salaries, this particular, it includes that homeless position with benefits. Our internal services that Lisa talked about earlier, professional services, we've added we've got 3,000. That includes some of the training. A lot of training that we're seeing from different entities are starting to charge for those instructors to be able to come. There are certifications that are starting to they come with a fee. And so what we want to do is be able to allow our citizens to come in and have those particular training, but we will cover those fees for them. So that's what that includes. And then other operating expenses, I'll get to that here in just a second, but the majority of that is for siren maintenance. So again, the budget packages, personnel addition is the homeless outreach coordinator, that's already kind of been described by Lisa, be a new part of this Community and Emergency Services Department, as well as a $25,000 siren maintenance budget package. This is necessary. So Blue Valley services all of our sirens, and again, we can talk about that more next week. But this is one of those situations where it's not really a choice. We have to be able to maintenance those and keep those up and running. So with that, I will take any questions if you have any.
Any questions? Seeing none, you're off the hook.
I do have one question.
Okay.
So am I correct, the homeless outreach coordinator, we're funding that out of the marijuana sales tax, is that correct?
That is correct.
And so, but it said that the positions were all in the general fund, so am I?
Did I misspeak, Alex? For that
So,
instance?
the positions, well, so technically the program has the total by general fund. The additional money for the marijuana sales tax is still sitting there. We've got the position, like the FTE housed in this, but the money is still in marijuana for those hiring. So that's where we went a little, yeah. You're good.
And just an update on City 7. I think we're still having issues on City 7, but YouTube appears to be working. Okay. Just looking for a nod of the head somewhere. So it's okay. That's what I heard, but thanks. We'll keep on it, but YouTube does appear to be working. All right. With that being said, thank you very much. And that brings us to communications. So I was looking for Rebecca over there, and here you are. So
Yep, I
that's
was
why I
just
couldn't see you.
Standing in line, it's okay. Yeah, we are troubleshooting that right now. But yes, the PowerPoints are still available online. Just go to the website, and you can go to your government, go to agendas. You can find today's meeting there. You can find all the PowerPoints there as well. But yes, we are troubleshooting that. But yes, YouTube is another option if that's something that people can get. People are seeing this interaction. They are not seeing the presentations themselves. So I'll do my best to kind of go through that. Bear with me. This is my first time ever doing this. I'm a little nervous. I'm going to try my best.
You'll be great.
So my name is Rebecca Gannon. I lead the communications department. I am your public information officer. We have a mission statement that you are welcome to read, essentially saying that we provide information that connects residents, businesses, and community partners. We do so through thoughtful dialogue. We do so through storytelling and meaningful engagement. And I don't think I need to tell you guys anything more about how active our community is as far as engaging its citizens. Some of our accomplishments. I may wax a little poetic on this because I'm really, really proud of our team. We've had more than 500 media hits in the last year, and those are bona fide. The City Hall somehow had a mention in the Kansas City Star. This is one of my favorites, the fact that we were on the op-ed and we were endorsed by the Kansas City Star for all 3 of our GO bond measures. These media hits do not include things like Englewood Arts having an oral history presentation on Saturday, come out and join. This is not including there was a fire over here or the crime blotter. This is things that we participated in, you guys got in front of, the city got in front of, we provided a statement, something like that. And that's, I think, a pretty good thing. Our social media reach has increased by more than 30%. Our social media growth year over year is more than 3,000 new followers for us. That is people who are coming to us, whether they have moved here and have decided that they're going to follow the city, or maybe they like what we're doing. I would like to say over the past year, we have changed the tone of the city to include something that's a little more educational, a little more informational, maybe even a little more entertaining and aspirational. And we've done a lot with our cross-collaboration across departments. The visitor's guide that you guys have seen, that's with Parks, Rec, and Tourism. We've done billboards with Health Department. We have done videos with Animal Services. We've had more than 200 graphics requests and 30 videos completed. Those include our GO bond, those include fire, and those include the mayor's videos with Animal Services. Stop me if you have any questions, because I am happy to delve into some things. As you can see, our team is small but mighty. We have a total of 4 people. And according to this chart, we had 2 last year and 4 this year. That's not completely accurate. Last year, as you know, we had to have an amendment, I think in the summertime, because I appreciate the council voting for me and giving me my salary. I appreciate that one. And then the 4th one was that we rolled someone from PRT under us, and that was for graphics. So we do deeply appreciate that. And then we've got John Perkins, one of our fantastic spokespeople for us. That's him in front of the Vail Mansion during our GO bond issues. We had a lot of luck with Channel 41. We have had no real significant budget changes aside from the budget package, which will be the next slide. Instead, we've identified cost-saving measures in the current fiscal year that allowed us to offset internal service charges for fiscal year 25-26. There is the chart. The lion's share of our budget does go to salaries and benefits. And our budget package is that we are hopefully getting a new camera, $5,000. The whole reason is because we had an old camera. Its resolution was so bad that it did not mesh well with the rest of our cameras. So whenever we had one camera getting one shot and one another, we edited them together, you could see a distinct change. It was like, I don't want to say it's 4K in the theater to home videos from the 70s. It wasn't that. strong, but it was still pretty bad. And in today's social media heavy video things, we need to have good video. And so we need the equipment to do that. So thank you. I'm here if you have any questions.
Anyone with any questions? Please proceed.
Rebecca, just one question. So I think this was before you came here. We talked a little bit about a teleprompter kind of a thing.
Okay.
So that if we were trying to, if you were making video, we could actually look, like read what we were needing to say and not.
Okay.
I don't know if that's a big expense or not.
It's one we already have in our repertoire. So we do
already
have that
one
in the
now.
City 7
So
office.
maybe we got
yes.
it and I just didn't know, I haven't had a chance to use it yet. So
We
that's
have used it
probably
one time, so it would not be out of the realm of possibility. It is something that as we continue to offer more videos, we are getting into. It is essentially a Kindle with a mirror. It's a thing. I can show it to you later if you want to.
Sounds great.
Awesome.
I didn't know that you had it, so I appreciate that.
Yes, thank you. Jimmy Walker was the one who piloted it when I was here. I know others have used it, but when I was here, Jimmy Walker used it, Chief Jimmy Walker.
Very good. Anyone else? Any other questions?
What's that?
All right. Very well done. Thank you very much. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
And next up, Mr. City Manager, I'm sure you're going to do this presentation and not delegate it, right?
No, sir. Wishful thinking.
I just had to be teasing you a little
Right.
bit there. I knew Mr. Scannell was going to be up. He was already up and walking when I did the introduction there. So
Indeed.
thank you for delegating that.
You bet.
And we certainly wouldn't want to deny Mr. Scannell the opportunity to have the opportunity to talk about his department.
Absolutely.
Mayor, can I interrupt? I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
Rebecca, Councilmember Vaught does not have a microphone.
No worries.
It was hidden.
But if
Good.
I ever
It's all
need
good.
something, I certainly want Councilmember Wiley on my side. I will tell you, she will get after it. So, Councilmember Wiley, well done. All right. With that being said, I've interrupted you, Mr. Scannell. Please proceed.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. My name is Tom Scannell. I'm the Community Development Director. Going to give you an overview of the Community Development Department. Our mission is to enhance the quality of life by encouraging public involvement in the planning and creation of quality places in which to live, work, and play. Our connection to the strategic plan, growth, attracting quality employers, grow that base, grow that industry, retail businesses. We are customer focused. We try to provide the best customer service that we can in everything that we do. We also guide property owners and developers through many of the processes that we at the city have. And quality, we look to reduce blight in our neighborhoods and corridors through enforcement of our codes, but also in amending and changing codes so that we maintain that quality of life in those residential areas. Some of the accomplishments that our department has accomplished. Our Neighborhood Services Group, that is our code enforcement group. They completed the Kentucky Hills and Three Trails Neighborhood Improvement Initiative. We also conducted our proactive enforcement on auto repair businesses. This was after the City Council amended the UDO to change those regulations pertaining to auto-related uses. We continue to coordinate numerous large abatement cleanups. The two pictures here show a large cleanup that one of our abatement contractors completed. You can see on the left all of the open storage and debris that is there, and the picture on the right showing what our abatement contractor completed. Fiscal year to date, 53% of our code enforcement cases are started at a staff level. You go back a number of years ago, and we were probably in the 5% range. So that is kudos to our staff for buying into the council's vision with addressing blight. Development services, these are our planners and engineers that assist several of our boards and commissions, Planning Commission, the Board of Adjustment. They've been busy this year making amendments to the UDO. The UDO is the city's development code. We amended the home-based businesses. That was in reaction to the state legislature recently making those changes on how cities can regulate home-based businesses, but also we added regulations pertaining to small box discount stores. These would be the dollar stores, tobacco stores, convenience stores, liquor stores. And then we held the larger community conversation on the West Central Independence Overlay District that the council did approve in the fall of '24. We continue to work with North Point on their development and work with the developers to bring more housing choices to Independence with Timber Creek Ranch, Little Blue Estates, as well as McBee Acres. Our building and inspections division utilized the ARPA funds that the City Council allocated for the demolition of dangerous buildings. And we demolished 15 structures within the last fiscal year. The two pictures there show the before and the after. We continued our enforcement of the vacant structure program. This was a program that the City Council put in place, I believe, back in 2021. And the result of this has been several of these vacant structures have been put back into usable space. This is something that we keep track of on our dangerous building list, and you do see that there are a large number of buildings that are being repaired and put back into use again, and that is a direct result of the vacant structure program. We maintained our timelines for our permit reviews. This was despite seeing a very heavy 2024 as far as the number of permits and activity that we saw. We also introduced online inspections scheduling. That was something that we did back in February. Prior to that, it had very little usage, but we got the word out through our communication with all of our contractors. We added a QR code at the bottom of staff's email signature. So every time when they're sending an email to a permit applicant, they are getting that QR code that takes them directly to the website where they can schedule those inspections. As a result of doing that, we have seen that increase from about 14% to over 70%. So again, little changes here and there can have a big impact. Regulated industries, the council will remember this in late 2024 going through the amendment to the rental ready ordinance. That added additional inspection items, again, to make our rental housing more safe because they're going to be inspected against 16 items instead of 9. We conducted proactive administrative hearings on businesses that pose a public health and safety risk. We have held those hearings, taken the appropriate actions, and our result of that, one that was the Clarion Point at I-70 and Nolan Road. The 3 months after that, the calls for service to the police department dropped by over 30%. So behind the scenes, we are doing things, we're having a big impact on the community. We're also working with our finance department to ensure that revenue that is due to the city is collected before we issue and renew business licenses. And we've working to insert the finance department into the review of business license to ensure that our sales tax is collected as it should. Historic preservation continued our public outreach and education. They held free architectural walking tours last fall, and those were highly successful. We hosted a series of in-person events this month. Most of the Historic Preservation Month activities occurred in the first half of the month instead of stretched throughout, but they were well attended. And they also partnered with Parks and Recreation to complete the construction documents for the Vail Mansion facade and roof rehab that PRT oversaw. On transit, beginning in January, the council or the city transitioned from a fixed route service to Iris. We were able to continue to provide the 24 route into KC-Mo and then still provide paratransit services through a contract with KCATA. As part of the fiscal year 25-26 budget, there is an increase in the amount allocated for transit by $350,000. This is to just keep on top of the cost of the transit services that we already provide. And we will continue to monitor the transit situations not only in KC-Mo but other metro communities. Here's the organizational chart. Our functions are broken out into 8 different functions. You can see those there on that slide. Our FTE count for fiscal year 25-26, this does show an increase, but it's actually a decrease, and I will explain that. Shortly after we did our budget presentations last year, a construction inspector position in the water department was transferred over to the community development department. That position does the same activities as the community development construction inspectors, and it made more sense to have all of that development related activity under one department. That position is paid for, the salary and benefits are paid by the water department. The rest, the vehicle, computer, clothing, office supplies, all of those things are paid for out of the general fund. The reduction is in regards to the home grant. We had a part-time employee that assisted the city in doing the inspections whenever a home grant home was completed. With the situations that have been going on in Washington, D.C., it was unknown on the funding level for both the CDBG and home grant programs. We thought it was best to bring those activities in-house and absorb those into those positions. So that is, the reduction is a 0.15 FTE. Budget changes, total lower, you will see on the next slide, the decrease in funding from fiscal year 24-25. That is primarily due to the professional services, which is where a lot of the grants are located. Back during the COVID pandemic, the city received transit grants to support the fixed route services. Those were entirely spent. We also had additional CDBG and home program funds that were included in prior year funds. All of those funds have already been accounted for, thus you have the reduction. Would like to point out that the fiscal year 25-26 professional services is a couple $100,000 more than what the 23-24 level is. That kind of shows the influx of the grant funds, and then it comes back out. Our revenue, we are a revenue generating department. Our revenue comes through fees associated with planning, permits, business licenses, all of which are tied to the health of the overall economy. As that does well, we tend to see our those revenues increase. I mentioned the North Point project, also known as Eastgate. As those projects continue, we should see increases in permit fees, planning fees, and business license fees. Transit funding, so I'll switch now into budget packages that were approved. $350,000 is allocated as additional funding for transit. This is to sustain our current levels of service. Code enforcement, an additional $50,000 was approved for code enforcement. For the last couple years, we have run out of money. We have taken salary savings this year and last year and transferred them into this account so that we can continue to abate scenes like what you see in that picture there. This helps to address trash, brush, leaves, inoperable vehicles, as well as a variety of other code enforcement issues. Dangerous buildings, yes.
Excuse me just a second. Please proceed.
So, thank you. On these abatements, do we not put a lien against the homeowner for payback, and that is collected by the county when they pay their taxes?
That is correct. So our process is once our abatement contractor completes the abatement, we issue a special tax bill to the property owner for the costs incurred associated with that cleanup. If they do not pay that in 30 days, we then send that to the finance department, and the finance department collects all of those and sends that to Jackson County so that is included on that property tax at the end of that year.
And how often do we actually recoup our costs?
I don't have the exact percentage. I do remember from a couple years ago it was a very substantial portion because it is tied to the property taxes.
So, I mean, it makes sense. Like we did that with the Kmart demolition, and they had to pay back the cost of the demolition. Makes perfect sense.
Councilwoman Canlis?
Yeah.
If I recall, I want to say we were hitting about 80%.
What I remember, it was above 90%.
Okay, I'll take your number.
Okay. And perhaps I'll address this another time. I'm just thinking about seriously impaired elderly folks who are just unable to cut their yard or afford to have someone come do that. And the last thing I would want was us putting a special tax on that they can't afford to pay, and they end up losing their homes. So I would just appreciate a chance for you and I to discuss that after.
So code enforcement is a difficult proposition. You do have to be a police officer, but then you also have to have a little bit of heart. And we have staff that are well trained and well experienced and are able to decipher those types of situations.
And I'm hoping that our program that Sam Morris talked about with volunteers, it's obvious to think about that as snow angels. I come shovel my elderly neighbor's yard, but being able to do some of that yard work so folks don't end up with abatement and overwhelming debt, I think will be a key piece of that. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Anyone else? Please proceed.
Our next approved budget package was $400,000 for dangerous building demolitions. This is coming from the marijuana sales tax. We have a need to demolish between, right now, 35 to 40 dangerous buildings on our list. Over the next year, we anticipate probably another 15 to 20 new dangerous. This would come from new dangerous building cases and/or structure fires that would need to be demolished. Our current budget would only allow us to demolish about 8 to 10. So you can see we are very light as far as the amount of how we're addressing dangerous buildings. The additional $400,000, that increase, would allow us to demolish probably 32 to 35 next year, which is much needed help. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Any questions? Please proceed.
So, Tom, just a question. As I look at the FTEs on the different pages, I see some going up, some going down. Or is there movement going on between the different areas that, or was that what your explanation was before relative to? Because I'm seeing like one go up, one go down, another one go up, another
Yes.
one go down.
So one of the things that we like to do whenever we have a vacancy is see where else in the department we see a need. So in this situation, we had a FTE in our regulated industries division that individual was transferring to another department. We saw a need to repurpose that position, that FTE, into our building inspections division. At that time, and we continue to have very large call volume as well as email. Even though we implemented the online inspection scheduling, so we moved that FTE from regulated industries over to our building inspections division to help us out in that department or
Okay,
that division.
that's helpful. I was just trying to understand what was maybe going on there. Like you say, the work that you guys do in these, I mean, a lot of times your role is to say no, and that's, the way it is. But I am appreciative of the efforts to, try to be customer focused and customer oriented because, that's helpful to, I mean, I have heard, let me put it a different way. I have heard reports in the community that the reputation is improving. And so that's, what we want to have happen is people that are having good experiences with building things and, all that. So I have heard more positive things than negative lately, and so I just want to pass that along.
That's good.
So-
Yeah, and one of the things that we hear, and I'll share with the council, is the businesses that operate on a region or national level, they tend to give us those kudos as well. When you're an entity that deals with cities and states throughout the U.S. or even in the region, we tend to do pretty well. Now, that doesn't mean we don't need to improve. We will always strive to make improvements there using technology and everything else to make it as customer friendly as we can.
Well, I have heard some comments relative to using the online inspection process that I wish you would have had a few years ago. So, but yeah, all right, thank you.
Please proceed.
Thank you. So we made some significant changes this year to Rental Ready, and
Yes.
that went into effect May 1st, right?
Yes.
Can you talk about the Rental Ready inspectors and the training and how that's going?
So after we issued the RFQ and qualified those rental-ready inspectors, we held a training in April. It was a couple of weeks before May 1st to go over the items, what the city's expectations were. Our chief building official was there and drove the conversation as far as what the city's expectations are. We also plan to hold another inspector training probably sometime this summer. It's been a couple months. We want to bring everybody back together, discuss everything, what's working, what's not working, and again, continue to drive the city's expectations home.
And then the city, we receive about $850,000 a year CDBG grants. It looks like we're good this year, but there's a chance we could lose that.
There's always that chance, correct. This year's amount is, I think, just slightly over 920,000. Home funds were up as well. But again, we never know what's going to happen at a national level.
Can you talk about a little bit about what we do with the CDBG funds and what that does for some of the most vulnerable in our community?
Absolutely. So the CDBG funds, those funds come into the city. The city follows all of the federal government regulations through giving those funds to public service agencies that, like you mentioned, help in the most vulnerable in our community. We also use those funds for minor home repair. Those are for low and moderate income homeowners citywide. Again, we partner with a public service agency to administer those funds, and they work with homeowners in our community and address the minor home repair that they need. On the home fund side, we do a similar thing. We issue an RFP. We get those funds out to community housing development organizations to either build new or rehab existing homes for housing for low and moderate income individuals. So most of the money is we are just basically a pass-through. The money comes in and we send it out.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Please proceed.
Thank you, Mayor. So with our vacant structure in our program there, that's been pretty successful. It's a good way to catalog our inventory. What's been our financial take with the funding penalties that have been allocated on them?
I would have to get that information. I don't have that right here, but
I'd be curious.
Yeah.
I know it escalates up. I'm wondering now how many people are still paying that, or I guess does it go to if they're not making the payment, does it automatically go to be listed on their property tax?
correct. So the way the program is structured is the property owner, if you have a vacant property, you have to register your property. The city will bug you essentially until you register. If you don't, we will put it on your real estate taxes, and so we will collect that money that way.
Sure.
And that program is you must register your property every 6 months. By year 3, it escalates each year, but by year 3, it becomes a monthly invoice versus every 6-month invoice.
Okay. Permitting fees, we're not anticipating any increase in permit fees this year?
Again, not knowing what's going to happen on a national level, so what we decided to do was to leave those flat.
Okay.
When we were putting together the budget, there was a lot of news on the national level that made you think otherwise. I think things have kind of leveled off, and so it's probably wise just to leave it at
Well,
that.
I would say in the local level too, there's been communities that were wanting to do some other types of taxing on their new builds and use taxes and different things that they were wanting to put on new builds and different constructions and stuff. So I'm glad to hear that we're staying flat on ours and not doing anything different.
Very good. Anyone else other questions? Please proceed.
For dangerous buildings, is there criteria that prioritizes which buildings come down first?
That's
No.
more of art than science, and it's something that our chief building official gets to kind of make those decisions, and it really is just an art. It's knowing which properties are the worst of the worst, which one, could a strong wind blow over. We have had those. Our fire department is, I've said this 1,000 times, our fire department is too quick at putting out fires, and sometimes the cost of those demolitions go up because they're so quick.
Thank you.
For those at home didn't hear that, our fire chief said you're welcome. Anyone else, other questions or comments? All right, very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. City Manager, this brings us to Parks and Recreation.
Yes, sir. I will ask Morris Heide, Director of Parks and Recreation, to come forward for his presentation.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. Morris Heide, Director of Parks and Recreation. I'd like to share some information this evening about the proposed Parks and Recreation budget. Parks and Recreation's role is to provide vital services and programs to our community. As a department, our ongoing challenge is demonstrating how we meet the needs of the community through the benefits that we offer. Benefits are categorized as either community or individual benefits. Benefits are the underlying reason people participate in parks and recreation services, and a few examples include exercise, relaxation, stress reduction, and socialization. The services we provide can be grouped into three main areas: parks and natural areas, constructed facilities, and programs. The National Recreation and Park Association, or NRPA, which we are a member of, has adopted three pillars to guide the delivery of programs and services: health and wellness, equity, and conservation. These pillars help to demonstrate how we as a Parks and Recreation Department can make a significant contribution to the problems that are plaguing society today, including obesity, rising healthcare costs, lack of economic prosperity, and environmental challenges, just to name a few. Our mission as a department is to position ourselves in a way that we can provide the programs and the services that will provide the greatest benefit and quality of life for the residents and visitors of Independence. As you can see from this slide, Parks and Recreation is involved with many partnerships, projects, and ongoing initiatives to continue or expand the quality of life in our city. Through our many partnerships opportunities, we have sought to maximize our financial and operational resources in order to have an increased impact on the community. Many of the projects, feasibility studies, and master plans we are involved with seek to lay the foundation for long-term future planning opportunities that, although we may not experience or even grasp their significance today, will potentially one day have a seismic impact on our community. As we sharpen our pencil and refine our ongoing initiatives, although viewed as routine and not all that exciting, this exercise pays dividends when viewed from a holistic perspective, as we see resources used in the most impactful manner. All of these exercises put us in a position to demonstrate the significant impact we are having on our community. The Parks and Recreation Department has several funding sources, including the Recreation Levy Fund, the Parks Improvement Sales Tax Fund, the Tourism Fund, and General Fund. I wanted to highlight some of the more significant accomplishments that have taken place over this fiscal year for each of these funds. For the Recreation Levy Fund, we purchased a new rear discharge mower for Woodlawn Cemetery. That may not seem like a big deal, but when dealing with cemetery operations and having to work in close quarter with over 16,000 headstones, specialty equipment is needed for mowing operations. In partnership with the Municipal Services Department, we have been able to continue to repave the cemetery streets, one of Councilmember DeLucci's long-term goals from many years ago. These improvements make a significant impact for the thousands of visitors who visit Woodlawn Cemetery for events such as last weekend's Memorial Day holiday, in which we celebrate and honor military personnel and family members, and also Wreaths Across America, a photo on your slide there, which is held every December. The next two slides show some of the Parks Improvement Sales Tax Fund accomplishments. At the Palmer Center, we were able to use sales tax dollars along with Mid-America Regional Council grant funds to purchase kitchen equipment for the senior nutrition program. The equipment purchased included a new serving line, freezer, tables, and chairs. The new tables and chairs replaced 20-year-old tables and chairs, which were long overdue for replacement. This is significant as we served 27,978 lunches at the Palmer Center in 2024. And overall attendance at the Palmer Center for all programs and events increased from 48,000 in 2023 to just over 53,000 in 2024, a 9.4% increase. We also made the decision in the fall of 2024 to bring the farmers market operation in-house after many years of having a contractor oversee that operation. In January 2025, we began the process of updating our Parks and Recreation Master Plan. If you recall, the previous master plan was from 2010 and was long overdue for an update. We want to include public input in the updated master plan, so over the next few weeks, many Independence residents will receive a paper copy survey from the ETC Institute in their mailbox, which will provide them an opportunity to give us feedback on our parks and recreation programs, parks, and facilities. I would encourage everyone who receives a survey to please take a few minutes to fill it out, as we really want to receive everyone's feedback. When you receive the survey, you can either fill it out and mail it in, or there's an option to fill the survey and questions out electronically if you would prefer to do so. Along with the ETC statistically valid survey, there will also be a social pinpoint website that will be available to provide information on the master plan. It will be an interactive engagement site to help create the vision for Parks and Recreation and Independence. The website will also include a survey tool where individuals can fill out a few brief survey questions. All of the information from the two surveys will be compiled and included in the final master plan report. We are expecting the master plan to be completed in early 2026, which will provide an opportunity for recommendations to be included in next year's FY27 Parks and Recreation budget proposal. A couple other highlights. We also replaced the pedestrian bridge at Sycamore Hills Park and also just printed our summer 2025 recreation catalog. And at the end of the presentation, I have some copies here that I'd like to give to each of you. Last fall, we retooled a vacant position into a community relations coordinator position. This position has been focusing on marketing, social media, and sponsorship opportunities, and also created the summer 2025 recreation catalog. In the age in which we live, we have realized the critical nature of marketing and promoting the programs, events, and activities that take place in Parks and Recreation. The transfer of the Chrysler Stadium property to the Independence School District is in the final stages of completion. We also replaced the 20-year-old playground at Rotary Park and held a rededication ceremony last week, which several of you were in attendance, so thank you for attending. We also replaced the pavilion structure at Santa Fe Park and purchased a new trash truck, a photo of which is on your screen there. This trash truck was a replacement for a trash truck taken out of service 5 years ago. Having a trash truck available will dramatically increase our efficiency for picking up trash at our parks and pavilions and also provide for increased worker safety.
Mr. Mayor,
Please proceed.
if I could jump in with that conversation, because I'd like to talk trash. With that truck, are we anticipating looking into the future of doing trash pickup and service ourselves and not contracting out for service?
In certain areas, yes. We're
Okay.
still kind of analyzing that, getting the kinks worked out in the system, but yeah.
Sure.
Specifically more trash containers, trash bin, around the square in different areas, yeah. That's
Yeah,
certainly
we're
on our radar.
seriously struggling in the Fairmont area
Correct.
and sometimes in the Inglewood area. I know we've
We've
talked trash
talked
before.
numerous times, talk trash, yes,
Yes,
yes.
yes, we
No,
did,
that's certainly
so-
on our list. We wanted to kind of, as I said, work out the kinks, get everything operating smoothly, because it has been several years since we've had that equipment in place. And once
Right.
everything looks like it's working well, then that'll
Good.
be our next phase, if you will.
Well, I'm looking forward to it.
So, yeah, we are too, actually.
That's the exciting part of my life, right there.
All right, when it comes to tourism, several meaningful changes are on the horizon. Several members of our department have assisted the city manager's office with establishing the structure needed to implement a convention and visitors bureau, which will be known as Visit Independence. As a standalone 501c3 nonprofit corporation, Visit Independence will take over the responsibilities of marketing and promoting the City of Independence, while Parks and Recreation will continue to oversee the remaining tourism functions of museums and historic sites. Several notable accomplishments this year include producing and printing the 2025 Visitor Guide with the communications team, hiring a contractor to demolish the dangerous water tower by the Missouri Model Railroad Museum, and the relocation of the Missouri Pacific Railroad caboose from the Truman Depot site to the Missouri Model Railroad Museum site. The caboose is scheduled to be repainted and restored later this year in the fall. We also anticipate that the Truman Depot project will be completed next month in June. I also wanted to highlight the dramatic increase in visitors coming to the National Frontier Trails Museum. Attendance increased 2.8% from 2023 to 2024, with visitors coming from 49 states and 18 foreign countries. When I looked at the number of foreign countries, basically 5 of the world's 7 continents were represented. So this story of history, the Trails Museum, certainly resonates with many, many people around the world. The history of westward expansion, the Lewis and Clark, Oregon, California, Santa Fe, the Mormon Pioneer Trails history is such a unique story that continues to fascinate visitors from around the world and draws them to Independence, the Queen City of the Trails. We also continue to see many metro area schools taking advantage of the opportunity to bring school children to the museum for field trips, as shown on the photo on this slide. Talk a little bit about our organizational chart. So with the departure of tourism marketing and promotion from the Parks and Recreation budget at the end of this fiscal year, we have updated our organizational chart to reflect those changes and also are proposing to drop tourism from the department name. This organizational chart also highlights our continued focus on our 8 core programs of arts and culture, aquatics at our 2 splash pads, continuing education and life skills, nature programs, parks and trails, senior programs, special events, and sports and wellness, which includes the farmers market. For personnel changes, we are proposing to add funding for several additional positions as budget packages that will help increase our effectiveness in implementing our programs and services. I'll share more information about those positions in an upcoming slide. For the current fiscal year, we are projecting a total of 78.43 FTEs. So from our current year FY25 estimated FTE count to the FY26 proposed budget, there will be an overall increase of 4.3 FTEs. I should add that from a budgeting perspective, since we rely on a number of part-time and seasonal positions, it can be challenging at times to accurately budget for a true FTE count. We have typically focused on not exceeding budgeted funds for full-time, part-time, and seasonal positions, which sometimes creates a variance with the actual FTE count. So to summarize, of the 82.73 FTEs in the proposed FY26 budget, 68 are full-time positions and 14.73 are part-time or seasonal positions. As I mentioned previously, with the implementation of a Convention and Visitors Bureau, some of the significant changes in next year's budget include tourism, marketing, and promotion responsibilities migrating from Parks and Recreation over to the CVB. We are also in a holding pattern as we continue to await the recommendations that will be provided with the updated Parks and Recreation Master Plan. We anticipate many of these recommendations being included in the FY27 budget. So for the proposed FY26 Parks and Recreation budget, we are recommending an increase of $1,060,503 from the FY25 adopted budget to the proposed FY26 budget, or an increase of basically $12.1 million to $13.1 million. Major increases include a 21% increase in benefit costs, a 145% increase in equipment, and 44% increase in capital improvements. Some of the items budgeted under the equipment category include replacing mowing equipment and vehicles, overlaying Dickinson Park parking lot, asphalt work at George Owens Nature Park, replacing fitness equipment at both Palmer and Sermon Center, updating the dining hall at the Palmer Center, and replacing the sound system at the Uptown Market. Both retiree health and other operating expenses decreased by 12% and 6% respectively. Revenues for the proposed FY26 budget is projected to be slightly lower than the projections for the current fiscal year. Several factors that affect this include the closure of several hotels that were collecting transient guest tax, an overall decrease in spending in the economy, which affects sales and use tax collection, and anticipated decreases in property assessment values, which may affect property tax revenues. In a previous slide, I alluded to adding staff and additional hours for part-time positions to the FY26 budget. We are proposing to add 3 full-time positions: a museum services coordinator, a customer services attendant, and a recreation programmer position. The museum services coordinator will reinstate a position that has been vacant since 2020 when COVID-19 affected the city. This position will collaborate with local school districts to incorporate museum visits back into school district curriculum. Prior to COVID-19, the Independent School District and other area school districts were actively utilizing the museum experience and history of the trails as part of their curriculum. This position will also create, schedule, and implement programs and speakers relevant to the historic trails and museum's mission. The customer service attendant will add 1 full-time position at George Owens Nature Park to manage daily operations and provide consistent staffing for an increased level of customer service. By adding this position, the Sermon Center, Truman Memorial Building, and George Owens Nature Park will all have full-time front desk staff. The recreation programmer position will create, implement, and analyze programming to better meet the needs of youth and adult participants. The focus will be to expand core programming in arts and culture, continuing education and life skills, and special events, although they will also be involved in sports and wellness activities. Additionally, we are proposing adding funding for staffing costs in order to expand operating hours at the Palmer Center, Sermon Center, and National Frontier Trails Museum. The Palmer Center would expand hours on Saturdays on a more consistent basis. The Sermon Center would expand hours on weeknights as well as on Sundays. The museum would expand hours during the peak travel season of May to September for extended weeknight hours and additional hours on Sundays. All of these budget packages are in line with the mission of Parks and Recreation, providing the programs and services that will offer the greatest benefit and quality of life for the residents and visitors of Independence. I'd like to end the budget presentation this evening by sharing a couple of anecdotes we came across recently. As we were cleaning out some old Parks and Recreation files, we came across 2 memos from the 1960s that are noteworthy. On June 30, 1965, City Manager Ken Kyle sent a memo to the mayor and council titled, eliminating the charge to tennis patrons for the use of lighted tennis facilities at Chrysler Stadium and Mill Creek Park. City Manager Ken Kyle mentions that due to the considerable vandalism to the coin meter boxes located at the tennis courts, the Parks and Recreation Department was not only losing revenue, but also having to perform repeated costly repairs to the coin meter boxes. He recommended that the coin meter boxes be removed. When I read this memo last week, it served as a reminder to me that the challenges we face today are some of the same challenges the Parks and Recreation staff faced 60 years ago. Vandalism and graffiti continue to be some of the most challenging issues we deal with today. It seems that the more things change, the more they really just stay the same. We also came across a memo dated October 1, 1964 from Acting City Manager Clifford James, which he sent to the Mayor and Council with the title Playground Equipment for Use by Parks Department. This three-page memo described in great detail the challenges they faced in bidding out some merry-go-rounds, swings, slides, and seesaws for the Parks Department. Mr. James stated that many of the bids submitted did not even meet the minimum specifications. And I'd like to read the last two paragraphs of his memo, because again, I think this is relevant to our day. It is the desire of the Park Department to install sturdy equipment which can be expected to give many years of service with a minimum of upkeep. The development of an adequate park system in the city is today a bright spot of which many of our citizens are proud. These parks are serving our citizens today and will for many years in the future. It is essential that quality equipment be placed in the parks which will serve us well over the years. This is the same challenge we face today. How can we best utilize the resources we have available to us in order to make the biggest impact not only today, but also in the years to come for the citizens of Independence? And with that, I'd like to provide you with a copy of our rec catalog, and then I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Anyone with any questions? Thank you. You have questions? Did you have questions? Please proceed.
Morris, this is going to sound way worse than I mean it to, but your budget's the most confusing budget in the book.
Oh, okay.
And the only reason
We got a lot going on.
Well, the only reason I say that is because in the past, since I've been on the council, there are functions that have moved from like one fund, one levy to another levy, or one tax to another tax, and so, there's pieces that are, like mostly vacant and mostly zeros on the page, and other parts that are, and so I hope that we're moving to a time when that won't be the case, and I think we are, but but I do have a couple of questions.
Sure.
You made a comment that I'm not sure I understand. In administration, under administration, it says internal service charges are shifted as needed with the park sales tax fund to balance both funds. I'm just not sure I understand what that means.
So one of the challenges, and you alluded to it a moment ago, as you see things shifting around with our limited financial resources that we have to every year almost go through the process of kind of prioritizing our programs, our events, the activities that we have, and then figuring out where those can land based on the expenses that we have facing us. Each year we have, benefits costs continue to increase, operating costs continue to increase, materials we have to purchase for repairs and maintenance, et cetera, et cetera. So we literally go through the process of figuring out, okay, where can we shift expenses to, personnel, different programs. You probably saw this year, we took George Owens from the levy fund last year. It's now in sales tax. So there's kind of been this continual migration out of the levy fund as those resources, become, they're pretty static as far as the about $2 million revenue we get from the levy fund. So that's really the reason. We're actually going through that process each and every year. Some of the changes too, as we anticipated the Convention and Visitors Bureau taking place, we weren't sure when that would take effect, and so some of the shifting in personnel was related to that over the last probably year and a half, 2 years. So I don't know if that exactly answers your question, but that's.
Well, it does, yeah, that helps. So, the other comment that I had, let's see. So you had down some funds in here for demolition of Adventure Oasis.
Yes.
I guess I'm just feeling that that may be a bit premature. Because until we get that Parks Master Plan, I'm just not sure that I think we're ready to pull that trigger. Once we get that, we have a chance to talk about it and see all that, then maybe I think we have that discussion. But, so I just want to say that I think that may be a little premature. I don't know what others think, but I just wanted to mention that, so.
Well, if I could, we're actually of the exact same opinion. We simply have budgeted those, so those are available. We would totally agree with you. We are indeed waiting for the results and recommendations from the master plan. The issue would be if we hadn't budgeted those funds, and that is the recommendation, then those would not be available. It doesn't mean we have to spend them. We have to move forward on that, but those are budgeted under capital outlay. So if the decision is made, recommendation by the Parks Master Plan, Mayor and Council concur with that recommendation, then we would have the funds available to do that.
Okay.
I should mention that just this last week, we had a bunch of youth skateboarding and skating in Adventure Oasis. So no water in it, but they're using it as a quasi skate park, I guess you could say. So
That's not good.
no, it's not good at all. So we would strongly discourage that behavior.
Yeah,
So
good. Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have a very rich number of parks, and often when you talk about how many acres we have to maintain, how many parks we maintain. Just so people can appreciate that, can you just highlight those for me?
sure, yeah. So we have 50 named parks. Now I should clarify, some of those are smaller, what we'd refer to as green spaces. They have no amenities, no improvements. They're simply a grassy area, and they vary in size. Some are rather small, some are a little bit larger. But we have 50 designated city parks, around 800 acres that we maintain. Not all of that is mowed, every week necessarily. A lot of that is wooded area, vegetated, heavy vegetation. But 26 playgrounds, 46 ball fields. We do have a lot of infrastructure. Several community centers, Sermon Center, Palmer Center, True Memorial Building, George Owens Nature Park. So there's quite a portfolio.
And one cemetery.
And actually, we have 3. One is only active, but we have additional cemeteries as well that we maintain.
I am on page 115 for them to follow along. And you've got department by fund. These are the revenue sources coming in. General fund, levy fund, tourism fund, grants fund. What I don't see in there is earned income from park rental and those sorts of things. So is it in here and I'm just clueless?
I'm sorry, can I get you to repeat the first part of your?
Sure. I'm asking, he has some earned revenue from renting out playgrounds and memorial building, et cetera, and I'm just wondering where that source of revenue is reflected in your budget.
So it'll be in the all revenue funds budget. Are you asking for the specific, sorry, I have my microphone on. Are you asking for the specific line in the all revenue
Yes.
funds, Councilmember? Let me see. I would have to follow up with you about exactly where that is, because some of those things may cross into some different areas. So I can get you a list of exactly where those are going to hit and the amounts if you would like.
And can we get that reflected in here so that it's clear as part of, because it's money Morris gets to spend?
It offsets our expenses, yes.
Yes.
Yes, yes, we can do
Okay,
that.
and same for ComDev, because that was missing in their budget as well.
Okay, we can do
Thank
that.
you.
Anyone else? Other questions? Please proceed.
Thank you. Morris, are we still contracting with the ISA for services?
Yes, we currently are, and the CVB would take that over with the new fiscal year. But yeah, I believe that's continuing on with the CVB budget.
Okay. I thought so. I was just curious to see how that was going to work and play through. I'm really excited to see how the CVB is going to, their work product, as we get that committee stood up and see how much we can really bring tourism to a highlight in working with that convention. You mentioned about the international travel. So I had the good pleasure of meeting with the Greater Kansas City Attraction Association, do their welcome and kickoff on May 13th. And one of the ladies that was there that's on the board, they had their board meeting there, was from Visit KC, and that was her job to promote, obviously, the KC area and Independence, and international promotion was what she was doing. So I was giving her some feedback on she's doing a good job. So that's part of that international travel that we're getting here. So kudos to them, kudos to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Other further questions? Seeing none, thank you very much. Well done.
All right, thank you.
I know next up, Mr. City Manager, is fire, but let's take about a 5-minute break and come back at 7:31, 7:32, and we'll just take a 5-minute break. So I know Mr. Walker is ready to go, and I'm sure he's disappointed we're just waiting 5 minutes.
Quite all right.
All right, thank you.
That's what I did. And so this is forward and backwards. I'm using this because I was Christina use it, so that's my safe. And there's enough sharing of windows and stuff I'd rather not find out. So yeah, that's all. Sweet.
All right. The 1 minute warning. 1 minute warning. Hey, hey, hey. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. We do not need a quorum to have a study session, so we'll go ahead and get it started. So, Mr. City Manager, we're going to talk about the proposed budget for the fire department, if I'm correct.
Yes, sir, and I will ask Chief Jimmy Walker to come
Very
forward
good. So
and
this
review
was
his
the
budget.
Walker handoff.
There we go.
There we go. I'd say fire away. I think it's appropriate to say fired up, don't you think?
What did I do?
Fire that up too.
Okay, we need to fire this up too, so I guess I wasn't on. Huh? It's the teleprompter's fault. That's what I'm blaming on. Again, I'll start again. Jimmy Walker, Fire Chief. As you can see, our fire department's mission is we're an all hazards department, and in a nutshell, when someone needs something and it's not law enforcement, we're there. So when needed, we are there. Some of our strategic plans and goals are increasing our safety, improving public infrastructure and facilities. Some of our last year's accomplishments. The number one is a successful fire chief transition, which I have to say probably didn't go too bad. You're welcome. Thank you. Got a thumbs up on that one. We have started a new report management system. We have implemented criteria-based dispatching. We've done 2 hiring processes. We've purchased 3 new pumpers, 2 ladder trucks, and 3 rescue remounts. As a side note, one of those pumpers and one of those new trucks were quick purchases where we did, in fact, save the city about $500,000 on those fire truck purchases because we acted and got a good deal on them. We have now increased, we say we've updated 20 plus standard operating procedures. We're probably more in the realm of 30 to 35 at this point. We have done a massive increase in our EMS and fire ground training for all of our personnel because one of the things that we can do is make sure that we have the highest trained department in the metro area. And with that, I'll go ahead and say kudos to our department because since the beginning of the year, we have made 17 human rescues out of structure fires. And that's just structure fires. That's not to include everyday actions that we take with emergency medical response, motor vehicle accidents, et cetera, et cetera. So we are increasing our emphasis on logistics to try to find more cost savings and to increase the efficiency of the fire department. And we have completed mandatory live scan physicals for all, it says all sworn staff, but at this point we have done even our non-sworn staff. We have found, we have had 3+ members, around 3 I believe, I'm gonna look back, was it 3 members that we've 3 members who, during our annual physicals, we detected cancer in those individuals. And as you all know, we cannot put a price on human life and the safety of our members. And those 3 members are being treated successfully at this point. So kudos to the council as well as I'll even give a shout out to the local for negotiating such a life-saving measure. So, here's our organizational chart. We've got our operations, prevention, training, emergency medical services, as well as what we don't have up there is our services and logistics. divisions as well. Services handles all of our fleet and our station maintenance, as well as our station design that we're moving forward with our sales tax money. Here is our proposed FTEs for the next proposed year. Our significant budget changes. So what everybody probably knows is what this year entails is all of the fire department's general fund money will be transferred over to our sales tax fund. So when you see this, we'll see there's a large transfer of $10 million for capital projects. That is actually and you'll see it on this slide right here, which would be our sales tax money, which is included in our budget. So our budget didn't really go up by the $14 million. It is our sales tax money. One of our approved, or our budget packages that we've asked for is a life pack replacement funding. For those of you who don't know what our life packs are, those are our monitors, our cardiac monitors that we use in our emergency medical calls. These new life packs, $172,000 will replace 17 life packs. That will be monitors for every one of our apparatus. And we're nearing the end of our life expectancy on those. Also, with the new life packs, they have features in that can help us better communicate patient data to our facilities that we respond to. So CenterPoint, Research, University Health, we can share all that information in a more efficient manner.
Chief, can I ask a question on that real quick?
Absolutely.
The 17 life packs, and it said 17 and then it said 7 years. So are we doing 17 each year for 7 years, or?
We will be doing 17, and we'll be paying for it for 7 years.
Oh, okay, all right.
So we are financing these out. It was a 0% financing, so we deferred the cost over the course of 7 years.
Okay, all right.
And that pretty much concludes. I could take a cue from Morris and say that, and throw out some anecdotes. I don't have them, but the fire department did start in 1843. We predate the city. So just so everyone knows, there's a little history lesson for you. Any questions?
Very good. Any questions? Please proceed.
I'm going to give you a minute for your overview as well. And this is a pop quiz for you, just to give people listening kind of a sense of how many rescues are you running, how many fires did you have in the last year, whatever you think that you want to highlight just for the actual work of the fire department.
Well, we have seen an increase in structure fires. Our call volume, we did this year. Currently, we are seeing a slight reduction in our call volume. That is due to our criteria-based dispatching, in which we've implemented. So we have saved some wear and tear on fire trucks, but we are still much busier department when you compare our department's responses to other like-sized departments. For instance, if I were to compare with Lee Summit, Central Jackson County, or Olathe, we are probably double. Even after we've implemented criteria-based dispatching, we're double what those departments are running. So we are doing more with less when you look at it like that. Our busiest fire companies are running over 2,500 to 3,000 calls a year. That's a lot of wear and tear on our personnel and our physical assets. So we have seen an uptick of fires this year, but again, our personnel have stepped up to the plate and delivered. Again, 17 rescues is nothing to scoff at. Talking to my staff, we haven't seen this many human rescues in some people's careers. And so again, I want to take this opportunity. Kudos to all the members of our fire department for the outstanding job they're doing on a daily basis. I mean, this is exemplified by just the day-to-day operations. For those who don't, we ran a pretty bad car accident yesterday at 24 Highway in Sterling. This is what our department does on a daily basis. So when I say when needed, we're there, it's not hyperbole. It truly is the members of the fire department who serve this city and this community. I say thank you as much as I can. I implore all of you to do the exact same thing. It can be a thankless job at sometimes, but our members are stepping up to the plate and doing a wonderful job.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Please proceed.
So you implemented some new reporting software, which I understand was a really big change. How is that going?
So far, it's going very good. We've had a couple minor hiccups, but nothing that wasn't expected. Hats off to Battalion Chief John Burrell, who not only did he put this program and the image trend software in service, but as a lot of you know, he is the brains and backbone behind our ARCH program. And so kudos to John. And but yes, it's going very, very well. And what this new software will do is give us the opportunity to better track all of our life-saving measures that we do on a daily basis with our patients that we interact. So we'll be better in a better position for QA/QI when it comes to all of our EMS operations, which city manager and I talked about when I got employed here. Is we want to try to improve our EMS delivery as much as we possibly could, and that's what we're doing. And so we can't really improve unless we track. And so this image trend software will give us a better opportunity to track all of our EMS interventions.
And then it's my understanding that ARCH got some additional funding.
It is, so from what I understand, it was waiting for the governor to sign, and as I found out just a little bit ago that it does seem like that he signed it. I am waiting on details on how we're going to receive those funds. So I wish I had more to share, but it does appear that the state of Missouri will be allocating roughly $1 million for our ARCH program, which does put us in a position to expand slightly that program, but not just expand, but actually fund our counselors, our clinicians who respond with our community paramedic. The goal would be to eventually slightly expand that program to ensure that during the work week we are utilizing our ARCH units the entire work week, 40 hours a week, instead of right now if one person takes off, we don't have any redundancy in that program, so we don't always have an ARCH car on. What we'd like is there to be times where maybe we have 2 ARCH cars on. We are doing we've seen success with that program, and frankly, from my perspective, I do not want to see that program go away.
Right.
It's too much of a benefit to our citizens, and it catches those stopgap people who fall between law enforcement and fire and EMS that need help and assistance, but don't require 911 to be there and utilized. We've seen it over and over throughout every community in this country that more and more people are utilizing 911 as their primary care physician. That's what I always say. So we want ARCH can help us reduce that number, and I'm hopeful that eventually we can start targeting some of our high utilizers, and if we identify high utilizers within our system, we can go and try to intervene before they ever call 911 and solve those issues on the front end versus the back end.
Thanks.
Anyone else?
Chief.
Please proceed.
Chief, can you back up a couple slides to the one that said budget changes? Yeah, that one. I just couldn't read it. The other question I really had for you is I saw there was several increased number of FTEs. Can you kind of just review what those are for me?
Because we didn't actually increase our FTEs.
Councilmember, we're gonna want to take a second look at that number, but I think part of what's happening here is you've got either just a number that we need to double check, or it's not an increase like for this year, but there were things that were filled mid-year and things like that. I don't know off the top of my head. We can go have a conversation and follow up with you.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And it is hard. We are right now in collective bargaining negotiations with the IFF, so it's hard to predict where our large, and I see our personnel costs in the fire department are the largest cost driver. They're gonna roughly be 90+% of our expenditures, and we don't bring in any true income, so that's just the nature of the fire service. But personnel costs are our largest driver.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else have the further questions? Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Well done. Okay, very good. Mr. City Manager, next up is the City Council City Clerk. So, Suzanne, you're up.
Yes, and then also, Mayor, we'll have your management analyst, Andrew Frazier, talk about the council budget as well.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So, should we have Suzanne go first? She's close. Here, let's see. City manager. Oh, for sure I did it.
All right, good evening, Mayor and City Council. I am Andrew Frazier. I'm the management analyst, and I have the privilege of going over the budget for your department. The mission. So the mission of the City Council is to represent the interests of their constituents, propose, pass, and ratify laws, ordinances, manage budgets, investigate city agencies when necessary. They also focus on crafting and enacting local laws, ordinances, zoning regulations, public safety measures, and fiscal oversight. It's probably no surprise to you all. The strategic plan connection, I would say you touch all of it. Without a doubt, everything you all do, everything we do. Here's the organizational chart. Here's personnel. No real significant budget changes. There is an increase largely due to the internal service charges. That's it. It's essentially very similar to last year's. Any questions thus far?
Please proceed.
Can you address the increase in internal services? What does that represent?
I'm gonna have to defer.
Councilmember McCandless, similarly to other departments, as you've pointed out and asked for that explanation tonight from Lisa, it's very similar. It's slightly different for council because there's some other internal service charge types that hit, and a lot of times that represents expenses that were incurred even before this council, and there's an accrual that takes place related to different internal service charges. So that can be your run-of-the-mill internal service charges, just with software, other services, but then it can also relate to liability, work comp, things like that. So not necessarily reflective of this council, but reflective of years prior.
So I'm gonna ask for you to get back with me with a little more detail on that, because it looks like 130,000 increase, and I just am not sure where that comes from. So I'll
Yes.
appreciate that detail. Thank you.
Happy to do that.
Anyone else have further questions?
I just might ask if we could just send that out to all of us.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Anyone else have the further questions? Okay. Andrew, well done. Thank you very much.
New record. Thanks.
Suzanne, welcome, and please proceed.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. I'm Suzanne Holland, your city clerk. It's a little different seeing you guys on this side of the dais.
Where's our city clerk? Oh.
The mission of the city clerk is to manage and record official proceedings of the city council and to maintain and preserve records of city business. The city clerk's office supports the strategic plan by providing customer service, office management, administration, and public relations to the citizens of Independence as well as city staff. Some of the accomplishments that I have had this last year is I achieved in assisting the purchase of a new agenda system, which is Civic Plus, with the help of our IT staff, specifically Bill Reynolds and Nathan Reisinger. We have gotten the system up and running smoothly, and staff is trained to use it. This new agenda system is much more efficient and user-friendly for staff, as we all use it for all agendas, including boards and commissions, as well as storing the minutes and agenda packets for all boards and commissions and city council meetings. I'm also able to use this system to send ordinances to MuniCode to be codified. Before, what I would have to do is send them quarterly, so keep track of them and send them quarterly, whereas now with this system, it's just a matter of a click of a button and it's automatically sent to them. I also closely oversee 28 active boards and commissions. In the last year and a half, I've been able to bring these boards and commissions pretty much up to date with term renewals and vacancies that have been filled. We currently have 13 seats to fill, which is a much smaller number than we had a year ago. Maintaining members on these boards and commissions is extremely important as these committees assist the city in moving the city forward with their goals. I am also working with staff to digitize records to become more technologically efficient and reducing the amount of paper records that the city has. I have also created a new process to track signed contracts as a record-keeping system. And we have established a direct email to IPD records so that citizens, attorneys, and insurance companies can obtain these records more quickly and efficiently. I myself have processed approximately 1,000 records requests within the last year. I have one budget reduction this year, which is the travel budget, and we are reducing this to help balance the general fund. My proposed budget includes one full-time employee, which is myself, and the largest budget item that I have is $185,000, which is the part of the budget that we will use for the election process for our new mayoral election in 2026, as well as the 2 at-large council member positions.
You have 1 minute remaining.
That's all I have. I'm happy to answer any questions.
I just had to do that. Well, you've done it so often, you knew exactly what I was doing. Any questions? Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Not really a question, just a reminder for people who watch budgets year over year. This position used to be more than one person, and
Correct.
staff reductions last year have left it being a single position, and you've done a good job of managing what used to be 1.5 people in the single person of you. So thank you.
Thank you.
Please proceed.
This may not be a question for you. This may be a question for Alex. Where are the elections in the budget? Where are the expenses for those?
Those are in, I believe, the professional services.
Okay.
there.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Anyone else? Other further questions? Suzanne, great job. Thank you very much, and well done. Perfect. And if I'm correct, Mr. City Manager, this brings us to our last presentation of the evening, Power and Light, and I hope the lights stay on.
Yes, sir. Here's Joe Hagendeffer, Director.
Absolutely. Good evening, Mayor, Council.
evening.
Joe Hagendeffer, the Director of Independence Power and Light. Happy to present the budget for you, and definitely saved the best for last, right?
Very true.
Yeah. So as we go through these, I have a very big and complicated budget, so these are pretty simplified overviews. So if you guys have questions, please ask throughout the presentation, and we can stop and I'll try to address any questions you may have. So our mission, as it has been and probably will be forever, is to provide safe and reliable and cost-effective electricity to all the residents of Independence and businesses and other industries. We have strategic plan connections through partnering for future opportunities of governance and public outreach. We advocate to ensure timely electrical service even through the supply chain struggles that we've had recently. Continue to evaluate rates and future generation and capacity needs to meet economic development and growth that we are seeing in the city. We will be performing studies for reliability and economic growth for the next 20 years. And we're working on building cross-departmental relationships and aligning those strategic goals. Some of the accomplishments that we've had is for the 25th year in a row, we have been awarded the Treeline USA Award, the American Public Power Association's Safety Award, which we've now gotten 3 years in a row, and we received for the first time the Diamond Level Award. So great job to all the employees of Independence Power and Light for working safely out there. MRO, which is the Midwest Reliability Organization, gave us a National Electric Reliability Corporation audit, which is basically our security and safety around all of our electrical substations and through reliability. And we had an audit and had 0 deficiencies, which is really a big deal. We executed a Dogwood gas prepay contract, which is going to deliver annual savings every year. I know that the council has asked us about hedging on gas in the past, and we've done that. And now we have some gas futures and are buying those at prices, and we're going to see savings from that every year. Again, American Public Power Association's Exceptional Electric Reliability Award. And then we implemented over 2,200 cybersecurity updates to our SCADA and EMS systems. That one is definitely a highlight because I know it's a concern of mine and probably a concern of yours that we maintain reliability, keep the lights on, and keep cybersecurity at the forefront of our thoughts. The org chart is not really changed much from the past, with the one exception, and that's the addition of customer service, which moved from the Municipal Services Organization over to ours. That'll be reflected in some of the costs and some of the head counts, and I'll go through those, and we'll talk about each one of those as we get to them. So as you can see, from the head count and FTE positions, we went from 178.45 to 215. 28 and a half of those can be allocated to the customer service organization moving over. We do have some budget packages for 5 additional headcounts, which I'll talk about later. We did add last year a finance manager and also an engineer intern, which I brought to you guys for approval. So that's the accounting of all of the increases there. Any questions so far? Some of our budget changes and challenges. Succession planning continues to be a challenge, especially in the engineering front. We've had a lot of positions open, and my engineering manager is retiring at the end of this month, and so we've had a tough time trying to continue to fill those vacancies. Significant employee turnover, mostly due to retirements, which is good, and then some resignations. So that continues to be a challenge as well. And then supply chain, as you guys know, and I hate to sound like a broken record, but things continue to be challenging to get in the price tags that we used to be able to afford them. So now we get to the fun part, right? The actual numbers, dollars and cents. So you will see a significant increase, right, from our 2024 adopted and even our estimated expenditures to this year's budget. And let me kind of break this down for you guys, and we can talk about any one of these if you need to. So really $5 million of those expenditures can be allocated for customer service moving over and their expenses coming into my department. $12 million is an increase in capital. I will cover some of those capital projects later in this presentation, but we have some significant expenditures due to some substation work and some of the things that we need to do to maintain reliability and keep the lights on. $1.5 million for professional services increased. Most of that is due to actual engineering that we are hiring out because we have to continue to do those engineering studies and continue moving forward with that without engineers, so we have to hire that out. $2 million for internal services, and I think we've talked about that several times. So with my increase in headcount, I now have more people that are allocated to HR, IT, and all the other services, so that kind of makes sense. And then $7 million in operating expenses, and those are different things like purchase power, which is
continues to increase, warehouse and inventory, and then some of the other operational expenses. So I'll stop right there because that was a lot, and that's a big increase, and just want to make sure I answer any questions while we're on the expense side of the house.
Any questions, anyone? Okay, please proceed.
Okay, I am
Thank
not
you.
going to sit too long on that then. Let's go to the revenue side. So you will see an increase in revenues. And that is, we have to remember that revenues from IPL aren't just customer sales, right? There are also things like sale of generation of power. We have transmission usage of our system that we sell, and we're able to get that, and also investment revenues when we have our reserves, and that gets invested, and those go up as well. So I want to point out this is not due to a rate increase, because I imagine a lot of people will see that and immediately make that determination. I am working currently with my finance manager to update the finance model, and any rate adjustments will be brought to the council and gone through the normal fashion, and it's not part of this budget presentation, if that makes sense. I'm going to keep on trucking then. Everybody's tired. It's good to go last. Those budget packages we talked about, so the 5 personnel, I'm requesting an addition of a power plant mechanic. So last year, I had a vacancy show up as a power plant mechanic. I shifted that over to a power plant electrician because when we had 2 electricians, and when one was on vacation, you would kind of create a safety hazard of only having one electrician able to do work. So we added an electrician at that point in time, or shifted that position over, and now I'm trying to refill the mechanic position with an addition. An electronics technician, as you guys know, fiber and network architecture continues to grow, and my communications team is at work all the time on stoplights and running fiber and continuing that network build out. And so that's just going to continue to grow that team and give them the additional help that they need. Finance analyst comes from our DKMT recommendations from the studies to add to my finance manager that's already on board. And engineer 1, even though I have some vacancies, I would still like to add engineers, because as our system continues to grow, we need those positions to continue to provide our services. And then a training and outage coordinator. So this one's a little bit different. We have right now what's called a system operations engineer, and I live with a little bit of the sins of the past. They're not really an engineer. They don't have a degree. And we thought their title was probably more applicable to a training and outage coordinator. So it's in addition, because I don't want to say that I'm just shifting that person over, because there is going to be an engineering need in system operations as we continue to build out our SCADA system, and also with the oncoming future of AMI and any other communication systems. I will need an engineer in that system operations team, but right now we're going to probably reallocate the person that is a system engineer over to this training and outage coordinator. Does that make sense? All right. Any questions? I'm going to move on. CIP. So some of the most notable capital projects, I have a pretty extensive list, and think I have covered that in some other sessions, but some of the top ones that I just wanted to kind of point out was $1 million for Substation R. It's not just a feeder for Country Meadows. It actually feeds all those neighborhoods on the south side of 40, and will be a dual feed to help us with some reliability on that side. As we found out through one of the winter storms, you guys know we had a storm that took out Country Meadows for a pretty extended period of time, and I think those residents would be real happy if I had a dual feed. And they're not the only neighborhood, so the Cliffs and some of those other neighborhoods, this is going to help bolster the reliability in that area. So we have $3 million for the construction of Sub-S, along with $2 more million to construct those distribution feeders out through the Eastgate Commerce Center. $2 million to demolish the Blue Valley Power Plant chimney. So that one, we got some quotes in, and we may have to actually allocate this money and then add to it next year and perform that demo. It came in a lot higher than we had originally anticipated, but I want to still hold that $2 million here for it. And then, $8.5 million to replace 400 MVA substation transformers. Some of those transformers are 50-plus years old, and it's just time to start replacing some of our older distribution transformers. Again, looking at reliability and keeping the lights on down the road. So with that, I will take questions.
Anyone, any questions? Please proceed.
Thank you. So first, let me say thank you to you and your staff for the fantastic tour that you gave me a week or so ago.
No problem. Thank you for joining.
It was helpful to see the size and scope of old buildings that are going to have to be remediated or knocked down at some point. So you're talking about the Blue Valley chimney demolition. Obviously, we don't want it to fall down. I know that you do engineering studies to be sure that it's still stable.
Yes.
When you say we're going to pay part one and then part two, is that all chimney, or is that additional portions of the building as well?
So that is going to be the chimney and also what we call the precipitators and part of this other systems that are attached to that chimney, because if you take it down and they're just standing there, that creates another hazard of itself. So yeah, there are other systems connected to it, metal structures that would need to come down around it as well, and that's part of why the additional cost went a little bit higher. And then just the demolition of a stack is not a cheap feat, especially when it needs to be done in an area where you can't just knock it down, right? We'd have to take it down pretty systematically, and that whole deconstruction process is done in a pretty professional manner, and it's costly to do so.
Thank you very much.
Yes, please proceed.
Would you tell me again the last comment you made relative to capital improvements? The last one, it was like, I thought you said it was $8
The
million.
$8.5 million to replace 400 MVA transformers?
Yeah, I'm looking for that in the list of capital projects on page 259, and I'm just not finding that. Is it there?
It is right there for place 4. It's about 2/3 of the way down on page 260. Is that what you're talking about on the budget book?
No, I was looking at, I'm on,
What's the dollar amount?
$8.5 million.
Oh, I see it right here.
It's about 2/3 of the way down the list, I believe.
Yeah, it's not on, yeah, it's not, is it your page 260?
I'm on page 259.
Councilmember,
Yeah,
I think
that's
you
for-
may still have your old pages
Yeah, those-
for
that's
that
the-
one,
that's
where
this
we have the
page.
updated pages for IPL now with the corrections. I think that's the problem here.
So I'm missing that
Okay.
update page.
I'll make sure
I'm
we-
missing 260 and 261, so
I have them right here if you want a copy.
that's fine. I just didn't see it, so I'm like, that's a big number to
Yeah,
be
no,
missing, so that's what I was trying to figure out.
It is, and it's significant. If everybody on council remembers, not too long ago, I bought 250 MVA transformers for the new Substation S out of Eastgate, and that was $5 million, right? So, yeah, those, in fact, I went back and looked a year ago at what we had proposed for the future budgets out, and I think we had about $5.5 million allocated for this same line item, and now it's up to 8.5 because of what we found out through bidding out the 50 MVA transformers. So, yeah, these items continue to increase, at a pretty high rate. Hopefully, there's some internal, I'd say, avenues where manufacturing may move back to the states. We also have some things that we're buying out of states that could be impacted by the tariffs. So, the cost of the electrical industry is not decreasing by any means.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else, other questions? Please
Thank
proceed.
you, Mayor. So, $2 million for one smokestack, huh?
I'm sorry?
$2 million for one smokestack?
Is there enough?
$2
know.
million to demo the smokestack, and it's the bids came in Probably about double that. Probably going to be about 4 million to
Sure.
demo that plus the structure around it as well.
Sure.
So the good news is that that's actually cheaper than it could have been because we did test and there's actually no asbestos in that stack.
Good.
Had there been asbestos, it probably would have been even significantly more than that, right?
Sure. I remember when I first got on the council, we spent $6 million removing our ash ponds. It's a lot of money to be able to have to remediate different things out there.
Yes.
Economic development. Thank you for all the hard work you've been putting in and your staff has been putting in for getting us ready for the future for economic development and the new technologies that are coming online. So that's a big kudos, and I appreciate the work
Appreciate
you're
it.
doing
It's,
that.
it's a team approach, and everybody on my team is working hard to try to get answers as quick as we can when questions come in about economic development. And yeah, it's important to us. It's important to the city, and I think it's a big driver for all of us.
For sure. Also, the important thing that we also have as an asset with you is you are one of the biggest economic development tools that we have, not only for future leaning, but also helping us redevelop our older parts of town. I was just talking to Deputy City Manager Reynolds about Old Town Fairmont, getting together with our utilities teams, and of course you guys are included, to take a look out there to see what we need to do in the next few years to look at some possible capital outlay to really make that expansion pop as we're moving with our CIPs going through on that final phase of 24 highway. So having you as an asset is something that cities just don't have and can't boast about like we can. So thank you for all the effort and the ability to
I
help
couldn't
make
agree
things.
more. The value of owning your own municipal electric system is pretty key to owning your own future, right? Because of
is.
how you can use it in economic development, and couldn't agree more.
Well, and I would say
Thank you.
kudos to the council here, because we spend a lot of time studying and trying to understand the terminology. You are truly your own industry over there. So for us to understand a lot of the nuances and how fast that industry can change, I mean, we put a lot of time in trying to figure that out and understanding that. So thank you for your patience as we
Oh, I appreciate
work through that stuff too. So
Appreciate all the questions. So.
Anyone else have the further questions? This isn't working for me, and I know there's probably a simple explanation. So total expenditures is 191 FY 25-26, and 25-26 proposed budget revenues are 162. That's almost 130 million, or excuse me, 30 million short. Help me with that, because we can't take that much out of capital to operate this year. So what makes that difference, or where's that come from?
So you got to remember, I'm my own enterprise fund that have my own reserve balance that I can take from and draw down from.
Right.
And that'll be part of the financial model presentations that we'll be doing in the future and talking about impacts on rates. But I would have to draw down on reserves. Now, I mean, I guess I will point out that every year we have done a pretty good job of trying to trim costs, and we have operated under the proposed budget. So,
Right.
23, 24, we ended up at 146, and I think that year's projected budget was in 154 region. 24, 25 proposed or adopted budget was 169. We're looking to come in around 162. So we continue to try to save costs and operate below our budget. But yeah, our own reserves is where we're going to have to dig into in order to make that math work.
So what's our total reserves at right now?
Last PUAB meeting, it was sitting around 80 million.
So if we go through roughly 30 million this year, we're down to 50 million by the end of the period. Is that right? So we've got runway for another 2 years if we continue at this rate. So what's the projected
The
rate going
CIP
forward?
is pretty close to where it is projected for the next 2 years, and then it kind of drops off because we get done with some of these major substation work, like Sub S and some of the other subs that we're trying to rebuild. So I would say after 2 years, there's a little bit of a reprieve on the capital side.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to get a report on kind of the projected, capital on, what's the projected capital budget for IPL going forward. So, I mean, obviously you've budgeted for this, you feel comfortable with it. PUAB feels comfortable with it. So just from our perspective, somebody watching going, okay.
Yeah, and we can get you the 5-year capital plan, no problem.
Yeah, that'd be great. I would be extremely grateful.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else, other questions?
Mr. Mayor, just
Please.
clarifying that we've been talking about this at PUAB, the need to replace these transformers that are old for a long time, and that you have been
Yes.
saving some of these dollars aside as your capital improvement needs. So, I mean, none
Yes.
of these are a surprise. We've been talking about them for a long time as necessary investments for the integrity of the system. So,
Right.
thank you.
And so target reserves is in the $50 million range, and we're sitting at 80, so that we can spend these dollars on these big capital items. So, yeah, there's a bit of there's planning to this. It's not, like Dr. McCandless said, not a total
Right.
surprise. So.
And just like you mentioned earlier, and Councilmember, you bring up a great point. Just like you mentioned earlier, reliability in the system is very important also. And if we don't do the repairs that you're talking about and the upgrades that you're talking about, does that impact the reliability? And can you, as a director, say with confidence that, hey, we're not going to have outages because we don't have the equipment up to date? And what
Well-
I'm hearing you say is that's really important for us to have the equipment up to date and do
so,
those upgrades.
So a substation that's got a 50-plus-year-old transformer,
Right.
If I could strategically plan that and replace that before it fails, when it fails, that will cause a longer duration outage than if I am in the middle of replacing it, right?
Right.
So we have to have a strategic plan for the replacement of our aging infrastructure in certain places. It's just, there's no way around it. We don't want to be caught happening to replace because these transformers, I ordered them today. It's going to be 3 to 5 years before I get them, right?
Right.
I don't just get it in 90 days, and I'm able to put it in. So even though we do have, dual feeds set up in these distribution substations, and one transformer that goes out isn't just going to wipe out half the city. We do want to continue to maintain that reliability and keep those things operational instead of waiting for them to fail. Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's obviously your plan in this, and then saying, hey, as a director who oversees the department in a responsible way, we've got to use our reserves in a responsible way to make sure that we're running the city and running the IPL in an effective way to make sure that we've got reliability going forward.
Yeah, my mission statement is forefront, right? I'm trying to do it in a cost-effective way, but you hit it right on the nail, right on the head, right? Everybody would like their lights to turn on every single time they flip that switch. So we have to do what we have to do to maintain reliability. Unfortunately, it's just in my industry, it's not cheap, right, to buy those things. But if we plan for them and we strategically set aside money and handle our finances in the appropriate manner, then when it comes time to spend big dollars, it's not a shock to everybody.
Right. And that's really what I want to have the discussion on here, because when somebody sees this, that we're going to spend 191 as expenditures and 162 as revenue, we've got a $30 million difference. Where's that coming from? Obviously, you've got capital to cover that. You've prepared for it. You know that. You've prepared for these projects. You've got the capital expenditure projects outlined. You've planned for it. You know what you want to do. And you and PUAB are very comfortable with how it goes forward, and you've planned it. And I just think that's an important discussion to have with everybody who's watching this program this evening.
Absolutely.
So I really appreciate that. And it's just an important, just an important discussion. And Councilmember, you're exactly right. It's well planned and thought of quite well in advance. So thank you. Very, very good. Anything else? Any other questions? Please proceed.
I actually apologize for asking about charges for services and other revenue. Those are on page 52 in all funds by revenue category. My question was, they're lumped together, so what I can't see is the split out for what's Parks and Rec generating, what's ComDev generating. They just come as one category. And so perhaps I'm just reading this poorly, so I could use some assistance in looking through that so that I am wise when I vote.
Council member, if you'll look at page 60, for example, there's the Park Improvement Sales Tax Fund, and you can see charges for services there. And so
Great.
we could walk through that at your leisure. But each of the funds, Schedule 7 allocates those revenues by fund.
Fantastic, thank you.
And
Sorry,
I-
260 pages or 270 pages, I haven't mastered all of it yet.
And I apologize, Councilmember. I think I misunderstood your question earlier, and then when you followed up, then
Yep.
that makes sense about what you're asking about. Sorry.
Thank you for that clarification.
Thank you. Anyone else have further questions? Okay. Anyone else? Final comments? Mr. City Manager, anything that you would like to wrap up with before we adjourn this meeting?
Just for the public's benefit, this coming Monday night, June 2nd, will be first reading of the budget, as well as the public hearing as required by the charter. And then the council is scheduled for second reading on June 16th.
Very good. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So anyone else before we wrap up and call it adjourned? With that, we will call this meeting adjourned. So thank you very much.